Welcome to day 2 of 30 days of IBS foods. Today is all about cheese. It is something that people are quite surprised about. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how you can tolerate more cheese and also some of the benefits of eating it, because a lot of people assume when you've got IBS that you have to go dairy free. It's one of the first things that people will cut out. Because, yes, some people do react to lactose, but as we're going to find out, the lactose levels in cheese can vary quite a bit. So, reasons to eat cheese. It's a great source of protein. As I was going to prepare for this episode, I actually went back and reminded myself of how much protein is in a couple of slices of cheese. And it's actually quite surprising. So for a couple of slices of cheddar or halloumi, the protein content can be anywhere from 9 to 10, 11 grams of protein. So you don't actually need very much to be adding to your protein intake quite significantly. Also, cheese is a great source of calcium. We normally need around 700 milligrams of calcium per day. And it also can be quite low in people who have IBS who are avoiding milk. Now, some milks will be fortified with calcium, but it's not always as easily digestible as a kind of natural calcium that's already in the food. And then also cheese is rich in fats, which is good if you need to put on weight, but can also be part of the reason why it upsets your digestion. When we're eating high-fat meals, that can sometimes slow down your digestion. So it's sort of independent of the levels of lactose. A lot of cheese could give you some symptoms because it kind of slows down the emptying of the stomach. That makes you feel fuller, maybe more bloated and a bit sick. For some people, fat digestion can actually speed up their guts and make them have more diarrhea, more churning and cramping. And this is down to bile and your ability to break down fats. If you're someone who struggles to produce enough bile, which is one of the digestive juices that helps to emulsify your fats, then you may have a problem breaking the fat down, in which case your body is going to push it through the gut quite quickly. And that can then lead to more problems with diarrhea. So people with IBS-C and IBS-D may struggle eating a lot of high-fat food. But as I mentioned, you only need 2 slices of cheese to get around 10 grams of protein. That's for harder cheeses, for things like cheddar, comté, halloumi. These are really great cheeses to add because the other thing, as I mentioned about lactose, these cheeses are practically lactose free. The way you can check the lactose content of a cheese is to look on the packet and look at the nutritional information on the back. The carbohydrate in cheese will be the lactose. So for most hard cheeses, it says 0.01 or less than that, which means that it's practically lactose free. And some people don't realise that they're thinking, oh, I need to give up all dairy if I have IBS. And maybe you are sensitive to lactose, but even if you're sensitive to lactose, cheese is normally okay because it's lactose free. So the way it affects your digestion, if you are sensitive to lactose, your body doesn't break down the small molecules of lactose and then they travel to the large intestine where your gut bacteria will ferment them. They can draw water into your digestive system, creating bloating and making you feel quite uncomfortable. Yes, lactose can affect your digestion, and it's actually relatively common. Around 20% of people will struggle with lactose in high volume. But as we said, lactose is not very high in hard cheeses. It tends to be a little bit higher in soft cheeses like ricotta or some of those more milky type cheeses. But if you're having a hard aged cheese, this is practically lactose free. So the good news is eating cheese in small portions may be manageable for many, many people with IBS. You do not need to be completely dairy-free, even if you're sensitive to lactose. The only other consideration is for people who are sensitive to histamine and histamine overload, is that these aged cheeses, such as cheddar or blue cheeses, can be much higher in histamine because of the aging process. So you may find you get a sensitivity to histamine. Again, this is not for most people with IBS, but a small subsection of you who may be sensitive. So just something else to bear in mind. Now, how to introduce it. If you were looking to bring back cheese into your diet, what I would suggest is you just try one slice of a hard cheese on one day and see how you get on. If that's okay, then you could have 2 slices the next day, or just like a little sprinkling or grating over a meal or something, just to add to the flavour. Cheese is such a great way to add some flavour, and it goes with so many things. So I really hope this has given you a small bit of hope that you can try reintroducing cheese back to your diet. Join me tomorrow to hear more about eating apples when you have IBS.